Okay, hello, 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 there we go. It is 12 o'clock and I didn't oversleep, despite being up for MLG last weekend. So, welcome to what is the first of hopefully a very many shows. And yeah, the basic format for these shows is going to be, I've set up an email address, methysc@gmail.com, and anyone anywhere in the world can just send me requests of what they want to see in whatever format they want. It can be an analyze this replay of their own replay or a professional gamer's replay. It can be how do I stop cloak banshees, etc. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and do that. I honored the very first request I received, and today's show is going to be on some Zerg openers, specifically, well, not so much the Zerg openers, but common openings against Zerg. The main two that were requested is what happens when the Protoss tries to cannon me and banshees. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the banshees first. But what is hugely important is, instead of this being a how do I deal with cloaked banshees, because really the list is endless, I'm going to go through a process of how you can work out for yourself how to deal with cloaked banshees, and more specifically how you can work out how to deal with anything rather than sort of just this one specific case. And the first bit of advice that I give to literally everyone is know what you fear. And it sounds silly, but I mean really know what you fear. The Banshee is not what you fear. The time at which the Banshee gets into your base is what you fear, more specifically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how terribly awesome my Terran gaming capabilities are. Lol joke there. Pretty atrocious. But I'm just going to hop into a game against a very easy AI, and I'm going to try and get Banshees with Cloak as fast as I possibly can. And this is something that sort of a lot of people just really don't do. You're going to be against a very easy AI, and I'm just going to rush, gas before axe, and just try and get this Cloak Banshee and see what time it comes out. And honestly, the answer might surprise you. It really might surprise you. And it's only when you start to look at these sorts of things that you realise that, hang on, my biggest problem with Cloaked Banshees has been that I've been over-defending against them, not under-defending. So, I will spawn as Terran as soon as my game loads. And I'm just going to go through, I'm going to screw up the build. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be anywhere near a master level Terran player's sort of refinement. I've literally never done this build. And I specifically chose not to because I want this to be a fairly realistic experience of what you can do.
Not enough
minerals. Yes.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Whoa, a bit of a lag spike there. I apologise if I carried through to the stream. In fact, I'm not even going to stack workers. Not even going to do that. Just going to absolutely, very simply build a Cloak Banshee. And this is crucial because, and I know that a lot of people do this. I know that a lot of people, a lot of people do this, is they'll say, you know, Cloak Banshees, they're so horrible. Okay, I better have an evolution chamber. And what they'll do is they'll go, maybe say hatch first, but then they'll go spawning pool, evolution chamber, spore crawler, spore crawler, spore crawler. And at like the 3-minute mark, have 3 spore crawlers out to defend against the Cloak Banshees that can't possibly be out.
What's going on?
So, if you know the earliest possible timing that they can be out, which would be gas first, you sort of can work out when you need to start trying to defend against them, and more importantly, when you need to scout for them. So, again, I don't know if 12 gas, 13 racks is the fastest way to get Banshees, but it'll be pretty damn quick, is the important thing. So, it'll be very close to the fastest, if not the fastest, and all you really want is a rough timing. It doesn't matter if it's 8:25 versus 8:30. So, whoopsie, I need to put guys in gas. That'll slow it down by about 10 seconds maybe, but who cares? We just want a rough idea. Yeah, and immediately you can see the difference. I should be able to get my factory immediately on the completion of this barracks, but hey, these things happen, so it doesn't matter.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
In the rear.
Man, Terranopans are actually quite elegant. I suppose I should have got that gas a long time ago.
Upgrade complete.
But again, who cares? Don't really mind either way. I'm not looking for ultra perfection, I'm just looking for an idea of when I need to start worrying about cloak banshees.
Armed. SCV ready. Go ahead. Big jump.
Okay, and now the starport and the tech lab. And you know, I'm gonna even do this a weird way. People will always get the banshee before they start cloak. I'm just gonna start cloak like the split second I possibly can, and see what time it finishes. And I mean, as we can already see, sort of, this is getting close to the 5-minute mark. Zerg's expansion would be up at this point, and you know. Zerg should probably have a... sorry, Terran should probably have a bunker. I don't really care about that sort of thing. I don't care at all. Just interested in a cloak banshee.
This better be good.
Don't know. Okay, that'll delay it by another 5 seconds. Man, Terran is hard. Okay, so cloak has started, and I can't see how long that's going to take to get out here.
Go ahead. SCV ready.
Restarting the
In
build.
the rear.
But, you know, this will give you some idea. That is a sneaky add-on. Not quite sure why I'm building
SCV
more
ready.
racks, but, who cares? So yeah, I mean, a 6-minute mark, this is, you know, really quite late into the game.
SCV ready.
Very, 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 very late into the game. And Cloak's only halfway done. So, my Banshee should be able to get there before Cloak arrives.
SCV ready.
But, let's see.
Big jump. Go ahead. In the rear. Go ahead. What? SCV ready. In the rear with the gear.
Building add-ons, building another starport because I can. Okay, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Cloak finishes. Bam. Cool. That's all I'm interested in. Just gonna leave. 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Maybe with a bit more refinement I could massage that down to 7 minutes. But really the absolute earliest, just absolute earliest that I can possibly have a Cloak Banshee is, you know, at the 7 minute mark. Which really, sorry, I'm just responding to chat, really is kind of surprising, because, okay, he has Cloak at 7 minutes mark, generally Zergs only start there at sort of 7.5, 8 minutes, but that was the fastest he could possibly get to Cloak, and he had absolutely nothing else, no command center. I mean, I suppose he could have started a command center, but just no other tech, no marines even, just really late in the game to be on one base with just no other options other than this one Cloak Banshee. And, you know, if you're particularly afraid of Cloak Banshees, then just throw down an evolution chamber and make sure it's done before the 7 minute mark, and you'll be fine. And he has one Cloak Banshee that will arrive then. I still would call that over-defending, because there's a lot that you can gain from scouting information. But the important thing about banshees is that we know that if he's gone for banshees, he can't have an expansion. We know that that he's going to be behind on economy. What people sort of, the common mistake that they make is that a banshee will come in and it'll kill 11 drones, and the Zerg will be sitting there thinking, oh my god, I am so dead, I am so dead, I am so dead, and just try to all in the Terran. But the Terran has only been producing SCVs out of one command center. He maybe only just has a second command center and really doesn't have the units to defend it properly. So, you know, the Zerg's economy is in a really bad position. What matters is what happens to the economies when the Terran gets his expansion up. It doesn't matter if a Banshee has killed 25 workers if you're still ahead on workers when he takes his expansion. And sort of that's exactly what we'll see in these games. I admittedly had to search quite hard to find Banshee games, because Banshees really have fallen out of popularity. Zergs have just learned how to deal with them, and Terrans struggle to find a way to make them work and still come out ahead. And case in point in these three games that I'm going to show. So let's just hop straight into those games and I'll illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. It's a game, well, okay, two of them are OGS top. First one against I am Lysira, and these are old replays again, I apologize. This is just a reflection of the fact that Banshees really have fallen out of favour. Which really just means that if you're having trouble with them, there are ways that you can sort of learn to love them. You should love a situation where a Terran goes Banshee, because then you can say, right, I've got this one. So this is going to be Zolnaga Caverns. We've got I am Lysira spawning in the bottom left position. Probably one of the best Zergs in the world. I really do rate him. I actually probably rate him more than Methysc overall. But personal choice. And then OGS top, who is just really all-round solid in so many ways. And immediately we can see he didn't get the gas before barracks. Now this is more normal, and what that means is this is going to delay his Banshee to a little bit later than that 7-minute mark. I mean, again, the 7-minute mark was an absolute rush, so it really does give you time. But you know, he's going to go ahead, gets the early walling to deny scouting, and immediately has a factory. Now, you can make a note of this around 3 minutes and 40 seconds, time when the factory goes down. Well, 3 minutes and 30 seconds would be closer. But just with the sheer abundance of Hellion plays these days, that's not going to tell you too much. What would tell you too much is sort of this reactor. And this is something that you're seeing a lot more these days. When a Terran player goes for Banshees, he gets Hellions anyway, just because Hellions have become the standard way to open in this matchup. Terrans have really been loving Hellions recently, and really despising Banshees. So another good time to scout. 4 minutes and 11 seconds, we should be seeing a reactor down if we can expect Hellions. So if you run a Zergling up at this time, you'll see the reactor, you'll know to get a Spine Core or a 2, and maybe an Evolution Chamber to form a wall off, and just sort of zone the Hellions out a bit. But again, we don't want to be overreacting. One factory reacted Hellions is really not a huge amount. And now we're going to see top immediately add the starport and do this nice little switcheroo to get the tech lab with his barracks and the reacted Hellions. Now this should be something that is again crucial to note. A Terran can get Banshees out reasonably early. In fact, these Hellions don't even delay the Banshee. They delay the cloak, sure, because he has to spend the 50 gas on the reactor, but not by a huge amount. So don't be fooled when you see Hellions and into thinking that he can't have Banshees. But here we go, and he's going to do the fairly unusual thing of getting cloak before Banshee. So now this cloak timing is going to be pretty early. It's going to be almost the fastest you could possibly get Cloak Banshees out of. And we're going to expect to see it shortly after the 7-minute mark. So, here comes the first Banshee. Again, Hellions doing their little pokey thingies. Don't really care. Lysira chose to respond with a Roach Warren. Fine. Don't really care about Hellions. That's not what we're interested in. So I'm just going to ignore those. And here we go. The first Banshee is now out, and Cloak is just about to finish. Yeah, around the 7-minute mark. So, if we look at what Lysira has, well, he has nothing. No lair, no evolution chamber. Absolutely nothing. Nothing in position to deal with these Cloak Banshees. But it's just not going to matter. And we'll see why. So again, if you are overly cautious, make sure you have an evolution chamber done by the 7-minute mark. And then, you know, you're absolutely fine. But I specifically chose this replay to show you it really doesn't matter. I mean, if we go to the units tab, look how far ahead Lysira is, even after... okay, only one worker killed, but never mind. So those Hellions did precisely nothing. But, you know, 32 drones to 23. What that means, what that directly means, is that Lysira has to kill... OGS Top has to kill at least 9 workers with his Cloak Banshees. At least 9, and it's going to be more than 9 because his second command center isn't even done. He has to kill a huge number of workers just to be even. And this is exactly why I was saying it's really, really important to realize that he can kill a huge number of workers and it can still be even. Really, the biggest danger with Cloak Banshees is that people think they're in a worse position than they are. Banshees are guaranteed to do damage, they just are. Very, 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 very rarely do you see Banshees not kill workers. But what's more important than the Banshee is how he's got to the Banshee. And as we've seen, he can't possibly have started a command center before the 7-minute mark. He just can't. Well, okay, before the 6-minute mark, I should say. It's a very, 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 very late expansion. And we've had our expansion up for a long time. So, really, we're in a good position. We just have to minimize the damage the Banshees can deal. So, when you come against Banshees, accept that they're going to deal damage, and just sort of move on. It's absolutely okay. And we're going to see Top doing the smart thing, sending this Banshee immediately. And, you know, Lysira, well, he's just started an evolution chamber, and this Cloak Banshee moves in. So what's he going to do? Well, he's just going to pull workers. Again, it doesn't matter. We know the Terran is on one base, so if we're only whining from one base, well, great, that's fine. You know, we're even. We're not really losing all that much by having these workers running around. In fact, this is a direct counter to the Banshee, and amusing as that sounds, this is the counter to the Banshee. Run away from it. It gets a little bit more awkward when he has 2 Banshees, because then yes, he can have 1 at each base, and then you do lose by running your workers. But when he has 1 Banshee, well, the Banshee physically can't be at both bases. So if we run the workers away from whichever base it decides to go for, we're even on mining, so we're not losing out. And we're countering this Banshee by running away. And it is hugely crucial. And what's more important is, look at the time the second Banshee is coming out. The 8-minute mark is when this Banshee gets out. What did I say earlier about the common time that Zergs get lair? Around the 7.5 minute, 8-minute mark? Well, now this is making a lot of sense. This is making a lot of sense. If he gets 1 Banshee, and it gets here at 7.5 minutes, with Cloak, well, we can just run the workers around. And note, I mean, if he doesn't have Cloak, we can just use Queens to deal with it. That's fine. Zerg should have 3 Queens these days anyway, and 2 Queens beat a Banshee. So, absolutely fine. No problems there. But, if he has 1 Banshee with Cloak arriving at the 7.5 minute mark, we can just run workers. By the time his second Banshee arrives, we will have lair, or we will have an evolution chamber, and spore crawlers. And so, you know, perfect. And this is exactly what Lysira does. Just runs the workers away. Doesn't matter if the mining time is lost. A little bit of a misrally there with those workers, so he does lose a couple more. But I mean, this Banshee has got 5 kills. And now Lysira's evolution chamber is done, so what does he do? Throw down 3 spore crawlers. Now this is, again, an incredibly clever thing to be doing. We're relying on these spore crawlers to chase out this banshee. But banshees can kill spore crawlers while they're building. But again, you know, that doesn't really matter if we build spore crawlers in 2 different locations, or even 3 different locations if we want to be ultra sure. So if we build them in 3 locations that are reasonably far apart, there's no way that the banshee is going to be able to stop them, and then the spore crawlers can move into position. And notice how this banshee is already running low on energy, with only 5 kills. The second banshee isn't even here yet. So, evolution chamber by the 8-minute mark makes a lot of sense. The only time you can really have 2 banshees in our bases is sort of after the 8-minute mark. So it doesn't even matter if we let this first banshee run amok in our base. It really doesn't matter. Remember how I said 9 kills? Remember how I said 9 kills? Well, by not over-responding to this, by just continuing to make drones, Lysira is now 10 drones ahead, despite the extra 3 workers killed. So really, this banshee has to kill 13 workers. 13 workers. 13 workers. Just to pay for itself. Just to make the game even. Just... wow. Wow. And what we're going to see is that, okay, the smart cancel, it doesn't matter if you lose that too much, and okay, now Top begins working on the second spore crawler. But hey, he has to get out because his banshee is just running out of energy. And now the spore crawler is up, and we can begin resuming mining. Absolutely begin resuming mining. And now the second cloak banshee arrives, and, well, bugger. We've now got spore crawlers. He's not even going to bother trying to take this out, because he knows that there are extra spore crawlers in the main. And the spore crawler finishes, and let's pause the game. Let's wait for this banshee to do what it can. I will pause it the moment it doesn't. And notice how he's just, you know, moving the workers that can be attacked. Again, Terran is only on 1 base. Doesn't matter if we're mining inefficiently for a long time. It only matters if we lose a horrendous number of workers. And, okay, this banshee is going to be chased out. Now, I want to note a couple of things. I hope I wasn't on camera during all of that. I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Want to note a couple of things. Firstly, how many spore crawlers does Lysira have? 3. Only 3. 1 in each base, and the 1 extra that he built just to make sure that he could get a spore crawler up. 3, no more, no less. He is not over-responding to this. How many queens does he have? 3. How many queens does he have in production? 1. And I think he might even cancel that. That's all. Nothing huge and fancy. And this really sort of gets back to what I was talking about. You are your own worst enemy when it comes to banshees. It is worse to overreact to them than to underreact to them. And, you know, this is a textbook example of how to deal with them. And Top is in a horrendous position. I mean, let's see, he killed 7 and 8, sorry. 7 and 8, so 15. And that, I think, was 2 queens and he had 1 from the Hellions. Yeah, 2 queens and 13 workers. 2 queens and 13 workers killed. Now that feels horrible. It really, really feels horrible. But if we go to the units tab, 41 drones to 31 SCVs, okay. Mules account for 8, so that's 39 SCVs to 41 drones. Great, we're ahead. What's more, he can't have begun siege tech. He doesn't have a good number of marines. Okay, Top doing the smart thing, getting 3 orbital commands, but he can't possibly have this base, because he can't possibly defend it. And Lysira, again, just so smart, having Lings here just to scout for it. There's no ways that, you know, he could maybe use the Banshees to defend it, sure. But, like, he has what? 1 tank and 4 marines. Well, we could kill that with just about anything. You know, a round of Zerglings would go in and stop this expansion if he tries to take it. So if we scout here, we can see if he's trying to be overly greedy. Produce 12 Lings. Lings counter Banshees. Hey, who knew that? And they really do, because they can be on the other side of the map where the Banshees can't do anything. And, you know, then we're denying mining here, and hey, we're in a great position. And so, yeah, really, this is a textbook case of how you want to go about dealing with it. Just, you know, a spore crawler in each base just for detection, and then 3 queens rampaging about. Get a 4th queen if he has 2 banshees, just to be sure. But really, you don't need anything more than that, and you can just begin producing drones. And what matters is the worker count when he takes his expansion. So, let's go to this game and fast forward and see when Top is able to secure his expansion. Notice how he has to use banshees to help defend this expansion, just because he's invested so much in the tech. So bam, mining begins. 55 drones to 34 SCVs. Admittedly, he does have a third orbital command, so 3 mules is 12, so that's 46. But 55 to 46, you should be happy with that. You should be very, very happy with that. You're in a great position. 55 to 46, bam. And I'm just going to accelerate through to the rest of the game to show you how much Lysira just goes on to demolish Top. Taking them bases, Banshees continue to be annoying. Again, great move by Terran. You're going to have to get notice here at some point. Denying the 3rd expansion. Again, Top is a great player. But it just doesn't matter. His opener did not work out well enough for him. And we're just going to see this huge swell of Ling Banelings. Lysira staying on 2 bases. And, you know, Top done a really, really good job to macro up like a beast, as he's known to do. But, really just doesn't hold this 2-base time push from Lysira at all. Maybe might have held it if he hadn't tried to take the 3rd, maybe, but, you know, he had the orbital command anyway, so I don't think that was a problem. And now the Methyscs come in, and Top just has nothing, no missile turrets. Don't even think he has an engineering bay. No, he doesn't. Nothing. No. 67 drones to 33 SCVs. Top did catch up, but just couldn't hold the 2-base timing. Lysira essentially let him catch up by getting a huge number of units. I'm just hiding that because I need to log back on and well, you can't really see the password anyway, so who cares. Maybe if you're really good you can catch the reflection off the keyboard in my glasses and, you know, just analyze the VOD that goes up and you never know. Okay, so the next replay. Banshees 2, OGS Top versus OGS J. Not quite sure who OGS J is, I think it's just a team account. So again, I have to log off, and we're going to see Top do a very, 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 very similar thing. We're going to see a very, 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 very similar response. And that's all fine and dandy. But through all of this, I just want to stress 7-minute mark. You do not need to worry about Cloaked Banshees before the 7-minute mark. They shouldn't even enter into your head before the 7-minute. Well, maybe enter into your head. But there's no ways he can possibly have Cloaked Banshees earlier than that. So, you know, just don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, man. Okay, so accelerating through this early game because, again, we don't care about anything that happens before Banshees. We're just going to check that Top does do a reasonable sort of getting to Banshee mechanism. Again, barracks racks, gas before racks is very, very, very rare, and you can often scout with your drone. And, I mean, that's an important point. If you do scout gas before racks, just know that the timing moves from 8 minutes to 7 minutes, kind of thing. Well, okay, not quite that much. Really, it's 7:45 to 7:15. But the factory goes down. Again, this reactor play. Top doing a consistent opening. These games were both from about the same period, so all fine and dandy. And here comes the Cloak Banshee. Again, Cloak before Banshee, and gonna order a second Banshee. Notice that he had to use those Banshees to... This was smart, sorry, I'm gonna rewind to show you this. Okay, so OGSJ gets these roaches to deal with the Hellions. Fairly standard play, roaches or spine crawlers. But now that he has the roaches, he's gonna go and use them. He knows that Top has gone Hellions, he knows that Hellions are weak against Roaches. So he can poke up the front with these Roaches. Either Top has gone Siege Tanks, in which case he runs away, or Top has gone something else, in which case he can deal some damage. But no matter what, he gets to see what Top's tech is. Just a general note. For all races, if you have units, you should be using them, particularly for Zerg. If you have the units, you should always find a way to use them. And this is smart. I mean, even just a single Roach. Marines aren't going to do much about a single Roach. So he begins targeting down this reactor. And if we look in the units tab, well, Top doesn't have a single Marine. He has these 4 Hellions, which are going to take forever to kill this Roach. So if he doesn't want to lose a reactor, or at least an SCVs for repairing it, he has to use this Banshee to kill the Roach. And hey, we've seen Banshees. We've seen Banshees at the 7-minute and 20-second mark, and we can expect Cloak, really. So what does he do? He immediately starts a lair. Again, 7 minutes 20 seconds. I think he was going to do that anyway. Such good timing. And so now we're going to see the lair response as opposed to the evolution chamber response to Cloak Banshees. And accelerating on, this Banshee's going to come over. Notice how he's producing the 3rd queen. Doesn't produce 4th, just stops on 3. And oh, okay, he does get an evolution chamber. I missed that. I want to see what time he throws that down. Okay, so he's just, yeah. When he sees the Cloak Banshees, he gets lair and evolution chamber just to be ultra safe. But, you know, we're gonna see a similar thing. The Cloak Banshee's gonna arrive with Cloak, and there's not gonna be anything up to defend it. So it cloaks, and what does he do? Runs the drones. Again, the Terran is on 1 base. It doesn't matter if we're not mining from 1 base. And he throws down the spawn crawler, and in a similar fashion, this Banshee gets repelled. He now also has overseers, so the Banshee just gets absolutely repelled, and bam. Let's have a look at the units tab. 46 drones, 29 SCVs. Great, we've won. We've flat out won. He killed 8 workers. 8 workers, a huge number of workers. But we've won, because he's on 1 base. Wonderful. Wonderful. Just absolutely wonderful. And this is exactly why you should learn to love Cloak Banshees. Because you can do this sort of thing. I mean, really, what more could Top have done? He got the Cloak Banshees as fast as is reasonably possible. He killed 8 workers. He was annoying. He did everything he could with the Banshee. Even after then, I mean, he's patrolling the map, getting map control with this Banshee. But just by running the workers and playing calmly, continuing to produce workers, getting the evolution chamber, throwing down some spore crawlers, he deflects them. And again, notice how OGSJ has 2 spore crawlers. Two spore crawlers. 1 in the main, 1 in the natural. Just there for detection. That's all. And then he's using the queens to kill them. Now I will say there is one thing to note. Double port Banshee, you do have to sort of scout. If he goes for 2-port Banshee, that's going to be a lot of Banshees. But that's very, very all-in, mainly because he will lose if you get a Mutalisk. Just 1 Mutalisk. Not quite, because Banshees can probably kill all of your hatcheries before 1 Mutalisk can kill them. But, you know, it is worth noting that there is an all-in that revolves around double port Banshee, but it is very, very, very rare. Like, so stupidly rare that you'll hardly ever meet it. And if you are worried about it, just send in an Overlord at the 7-minute mark, and you'll see his tech. He maybe has 1-2 Marines at most, so you will be guaranteed to see that at the 7-minute mark. But moving on, we'll see OGSJ just, again, demolish Top, because he didn't do enough with his opener. It doesn't matter that he killed workers. It literally doesn't matter that he killed 8 workers. He was still behind, because of the fact that Banshees have to deal damage. He's invested a huge amount in his tech. He's delayed his economy by a huge amount to get this tech. If he doesn't kill a large number of workers, and by large numbers I mean fucking insane numbers of workers, he's in trouble. So again, ultra smart things, just, you know, delaying the 3rd, gonna be annoying if possible. And Top is a beast, catching up in SCVs. Again, largely because OGSJ is going for the Snyder Swarm play. But it's not even canon. Top doesn't scout the Snyder Swarm. Takes a huge pounding in its main. Armory goes down, and then goes for a flanking attack and just gets the hell out. And this game does go on for quite a bit, but OGS state for Joe perhaps being a little bit passive, but he was just so far ahead in that early game. And this was a nice really should have happened. 200 supply versus 150 supply, and these problems. But yeah, not too interested in the rest of the game. Spoiler alert, OGSJ will close on to win it. So I'm just going to put that there. So I'm going to look at another example just because it's a slightly different approach to banshees. But really it's the same thing. I'm just going to rush through this last replay because it's more repetition of exactly the same stuff that I've said already. So moving on to the replay. How are we doing for time? Pretty well. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly where I want to be. Multiplayer, we can show episode 1, Banshee 3, E.G. Hydra versus Empire Happy. What's actually funny is when I was looking for these Banshee replays, I searched by player, and I searched for OGS Top, Empire Happy, and Liquid Jinro, the 3 players that are really known for just using Banshees. In fact, I attribute a lot of Jinro's demise to, yes, there is just the sheer fact that other players caught up in macro, and his macro isn't as good as sort of the average programmer these days, so he actually falls behind. But on top of that, just the demise of the Banshees. As people learned to deal with Banshees, he became less good because Banshees were his unit. They were his absolute trademark unit. And, But anyway, so we're going to see Empire Happy versus E.G. Hydra. And we're going to see a similar sort of thing from Happy. Happy loves his Banshee use. Really phenomenal laddering player. Doesn't really work out so much from tournaments because his strategies tend to be things that can be easily countered if you know they're coming. And you tend to know your opponent in the tournament. But yeah, okay, so hang on. I missed the first thing I wanted to comment on because I'm bad like that. But yes, anyway, supply depot, barracks, oh, no, barracks, gas, and the factory, and the second gas. So, very normal build order. But there's not going to be any sort of Hellion play coming with this. This is going to be just straight to Banshees. Okay, there's going to be a Hellion, but that's minerals only. There's no gas investment is the important thing. And that Hellion is really smart just for map control. And this is, again, sort of another thing that you can begin to think about. If he only has one Hellion, it means that he's either going for Blue Flame or he is going for Banshees, because otherwise they'd be reacted. He's got to be doing something else. I mean, I suppose he might be going for really early tanks, but that's pretty weak in general. So, Cloak is done, and a little bit of an interesting rearrangement. Orders Cloak and immediately gets a Viking before getting a Banshee. And we're going to see this end up in just a single Cloak Banshee, again, pretty quickly. But with this Viking that can be used to chase Overlords and stuff like that, which is really, really nice. It's smart, I like it. And again, you know, Cloak finishes 7 minutes and 30 seconds, reasonable timing. So if you'd proxied the starport, 7 minutes and 30 seconds is the earliest possible time we really need to worry about it. What does Hydra do? Well, he has this evolution chamber, and he has it already, and he's almost finished Lair. And again, this is just because of how good Hydra is. He sees the single Hellion, he knows Empire Happy, he pretty much guesses what's coming, just from the fact that there hasn't been any sort of reacted Hellion play, which comes much, 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 much sooner, therefore Banshees. And this is just an example. Let's rewind to the point where he gets this evolution chamber, and this is the only thing that I want you to take from this game. Let's bring up the production tab, because then we'll see it immediately. And wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Pop quiz, how long does an evolution chamber take to build? Well, 30 seconds for the Spore Crawler, 35 seconds for the evolution chamber. Round a minute. Wait for it. Wait for it. BAM! 7 minutes and 40 seconds. 7 minutes and 40 seconds. What did we say the earliest time that Cloak Banshee could be in our base was? 7 minutes and 30 seconds. A minute and 5 seconds to build the Evolution Chamber plus Spore Crawler. It means that at 7 minutes and 45 seconds we are going to have Spore Crawlers, which means that the Cloak Banshee can be there for a grand total of 15 seconds before we have the stuff we need to deal with it. Well, hey! And again, that's all I want you to take from the game. All I want you to take from the game. If you are ultra worried about Cloak Banshees, or you are you've scouted Cloak Banshees, or you know they're coming, or you suspect they're coming, 7 minutes and 40 seconds, great time to throw down an Evolution Chamber. We don't even need to get Lair then. We notice that he starts getting Lair as well. But we don't even need to do that. We just need this Evolution Chamber then. And you're absolutely safe. And just begin then thinking about how you can use that Evolution Chamber as well. It's really not nice to have stuff sitting around that you can't use. So, you know, hey, we can get an early +1. Great. Useful. But it just, you know, there's nothing wrong with this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. It costs you 1 drone and 75 minerals. That's all it costs you. And if he doesn't get Banshees, he doesn't get Banshees. It's fine. No need to worry about it. And so we're going to see this Cloak Banshee come in and do precisely... Well, Hydra's not even going to have to pull drones. Well, okay, you will momentarily. But, I mean... Notice his Queen positioning, very, very, very smart. And the Overseer, so... Well, hey, bye-bye Banshee. So, now... 46 drones to 30 SCVs. Again, let's see the time that he takes his expansion. And going on. And bam! Expansion goes down. 55 drones to 34 SCVs with 2 orbital commands. So that's 55 workers to 42 workers. Well, hey, we're ahead, and we've even got our third going up because we know there's absolutely no way he can pressure us. Game over. Again, I can accelerate through this game if you really want, but just believe me that Hydra has this one. He just has this one. Mutalisks out, just nothing to happy to deal with this. Oh, he's got Stim, I suppose. But, so Hydra's just going to pull a disgusting lead. Taking a 4th base, because, hey, why not? He's only just got siege mode, he's not pushing for a while. 70 drones to 46, 70 drones to 47. Doing the smart thing, the push moves out, and he just begins flanking and poking. Brooding delays this push by a full minute before it gets to his 3rd base, and by that point it doesn't even matter. Bam. Sacrifices his 4th, because why not? We're already so far ahead. Have a 3rd, and killing. Okay, I'm just going to put the replay. I think it's pretty clear, even just from that supply count, that Hydra's got one. But that in a nutshell is how you deal with Cloak Banshees. More importantly than how you deal with Cloak Banshees, that is how you can go about finding Cloak Banshees. And I mean, the biggest bit of advice for anything you're having trouble with, absolutely anything, learn what you fear. Learn what you fear. Learn what you fear. Learn what you fear. That's not just, oh shit, I'm afraid of Cloak Banshees. It's, well, he can only actually have Cloak Banshees the earliest, like if double gas before barracks, just proxy starport rushing to Cloak Banshees is the 7-minute mark. And then he's so far all in. The earliest time that he can reasonably have Cloak Banshees, 7.5 minutes. Just run drones. Run drones. Running drones is the counter to Banshees. You heard it here first. And, I mean, this just applies to everything. If you are afraid of, you know, you're a Protoss player and you're afraid of Mutalisks, learn the earliest possible timing that he can have Mutalisks. And on top of that, learn what he needs to do to get there. We know that if we scout at the 6-minute mark and we see a starport going down with a tech lab sitting right next to it, well, he's going Banshees and probably Cloak Banshees. We can sack an Overlord at the 6-minute mark to make absolutely sure. And we can do that because he has a low marine count. And we can scout that he has a low marine count by sending a link up the front. All of these things are all interconnected. So if you are absolutely paranoid of it, just go ahead and do that. Maybe you lose an Overlord, 100 minerals. No big deal. And you're guaranteed to see it. But, as we've seen from all of those games, the Zerg players just don't do it because they just don't need to. Because, well, why would they when they could just pull drones and kill cloaked banshees that way? So, that does the cloaked banshees. The next thing I want to look at is, the next request was cannons. Cannons. What happens when a Protoss tries to cannon a Zerg, which is very, very common, especially these days, especially with Zerg being greedy. Really, in the most part, when a Protoss player tries to cannon a Zerg player, it's because he's trying to go hatch first. And the Protoss player is like, nah, you're cancelling that, buddy. You're absolutely cancelling that, buddy. So, really, the main thing is, what I'd recommend against Protoss is a 14 pool, 15 hatch build. And that way you can often just about save the hatchery if you really, really want. But otherwise, if not, you can always force him to build a couple of cannons, then cancel the hatchery and rebuild it at your third, and he's delayed your Nexus by investing 300 odd minerals, 400 odd minerals directly in it. So 14 pool, 15 hatch is good. Speedling expand is great, but speedling expand is a little bit weak against whoops, sorry, I'm just reading the chat here. Speedling expand is a little bit weak against Forge Fast expand because you can't really punish the Protoss in any way. He can just go Nexus first, quite comfortably. But Speedling expand is great against anything else the Protoss does, so, you know, roll the dice there. But it's really these hatch first builds. What I want to emphasize is that hatch first against Protoss is the Zerg being greedy. If you hatch first and you get cannoned, it's not him cheesing you, it's you cheesing him, and him dealing with the cheese the only way he can. So, important distinction just to bear in mind. Now, as for the cannons themselves and how you should go about dealing them, I want to differentiate between the two cases. Number one, cannon rush. Number two, cannon pressure. They are very, very, very different and just different beasts altogether. The cannon rush is sort of the 10 forge, 3 pylons blocking you in your base and just really trying to cripple you with cannons. He's investing a lot in the cannons. He is saying, I have to deal damage with these cannons. That I'm not really going to look at because that's really cheesy from the Protoss and is basically an all-in. Really, I mean, if you get cannon blocked into your main, well, don't get cannon blocked into your main, just have a drone patrolling the bottom of your ramp if you're worried about it. But if it does happen, it's usually best to just Spinecrawler rush out and then try to Baneling bust him or try to Roach bust him. Baneling bust is a little bit risky because you have to hit early before he has sentries, essentially. But generally, if you just Spinecrawler push out and Roach push him off one base, he will die. Or at least have to invest a huge amount of cannons that when you expand behind it, it's fine. But I'm not really interested in that because that is just a cheese that's similar to a proxy 2-gate. You're just going to have to work out how to deal with it. If you hatch first and he does it to you, well, good luck, you're dead. You're just dead. Don't hatch first. Don't hatch first. Don't hatch first. Where's the camera? There's the camera. Of course, there's the camera. God, I'm an idiot. So the next thing is a cannon pressure. Now, this is really the Protoss going for a Forge Fast expand and sort of saying, well, you've gone for a slightly greedy build. I'm going to drop cannons to make you, at the very least, cancel this hatch. And if you try to defend the hatch, hopefully kill the hatch. Now, again, well, not again, but I couldn't find any replays of professional gamers for this game, so I had to go and make some replays, and literally just went and cannon pressured, like, whoops, literally went and cannon pressured 3 Zergs in a row, just cause, and we're going to see a good way to respond to it, a bad way to respond to it, and a build that'll make a cannon rush basically fail. And yes, I went ahead and cannon rushed somebody when I knew it would 100% fail and I'd lose the game because of it. So, you know, what can you do? I love you guys. I will devote minus ladder points to this show. even if it was only -8 or something, because he was a way better player than me anyway and would have won anyway, so whatever. Okay, so Tilbury Malta is... This is the map that Protosses will cannon you on the most, because there's just so much space. I mean... Oh, sorry, this is Shadow Temple. Never mind, next game's Tilbury Malta. Okay, so this is the game of how not to respond to it. I actually had these out of order, so I wanted to do it the other way around. So what we're going to see from him... is Big Shocker, 15 pool. Okay, I thought it was 15 hatch, but his pool was late, so what can I do? Okay, but 15 pool, 15 hatch is kind of okay. I would prefer a 14 pool, 15 hatch. There's no reason to go 15 pool. 15 pool and 14 pool are exactly economical, and 14 pool gets the pool earlier. So, this is probably how you'll see cannons the most, just behind the natural. Again, he could try and sort of pylon block here, but that's kind of all in from him. Cancel the hatch, Spinecrawler rush out, unless you've had a drone patrolling there. Now, I want to think about some common responses to this. One is to cancel the hatch and rebuild elsewhere. Two is to try and pull drones and deal with the cannons that way. But what is crucially important, another one actually, is just cancel the hatch. Either try and proxy hatch or try and Nidus. What is crucially important, assume the Protoss knows this. You have to assume the Protoss knows this. He will know that this is coming. He will absolutely know that this is coming. Don't Nidus, don't try to proxy hatch, because you will never beat a good player with those mechanics. Also, if you try to cancel and move somewhere else, expect him to cannon that as well. He is expecting you to relocate your hatch, and he's going to try and cannon rush that as well. What that means is that just simply, whenever we try to build a hatchery and we know he's doing some cannon shenanigans, either have an Overlord there, or have another drone there, just to scout for it. Because you do not want to lose a hatch. That is just crippling. So, just bear that in mind. Think about his responses. It's crucial, again, learning what you fear. Think about what he can possibly be doing, and think about how you're going to respond to it, and think about his responses to that, and just prepare for it all. So what we're going to see is he pulls a huge number of workers. Huge number of workers. He has only 4 working. 5 miners working. This is precisely what I want him to do. Precisely what I want him to do. I don't care if he you know, I lose, what, 37 minerals per cannon cancel, 25 minerals per pylon cancel. It's really not much. It's very, very minimal from my front. Minimal compared to what he loses by pulling this number of workers to deal with it. Also, pro question. Can anybody tell me how many workers you need to kill a cannon before it can finish? How many workers do you need to kill a cannon before it can finish? I'll just leave that as an open question. I'll have the chat on my dual screen, and I'll see if there's a response. I'll see if anyone gets it right. Multi saying 6, Mongi saying 4, Rezi saying 6 or 7. You're all wrong. The answer is 3. 3 workers, and they kill it with 10 seconds to spare. 10 seconds to spare. 3 workers attacking a cannon will bring it down. So, let's just look at that. Let's just motivate that. 40 seconds. Drones put out, well, 5 damage every 1.5 seconds, so that's just over 10 damage every 4 seconds, so that's 30 damage every 4 seconds. So, yeah, 300 damage in sort of 40 seconds. And I'll tell you for free that 3 drones kill a cannon with 10 seconds to spare. So if your drones get there within 10 seconds of the cannon going down, you only need 3 of them to kill it. Good to know. Always good to know. Which means that you should respond with 3 drones per cannon. And maybe even less with that, because if he's devoting a huge number of cannons, wait till the cannon's finished, cancel the hatch and rebuild it somewhere else. This is the main reason why 14 pool 15 hatch is good. It actually delays your hatch enough that if he tries to place down 3 cannons, well, then you can cancel a hatch and move it, and he's invested 450 minerals in delaying your hatch, which is kind of good. But this is not good, pulling this huge number of workers, because what am I going to do? Well, I'm just gonna throw down a shipload of pylons. And, I mean, I'm okay with this. I'm okay if he breaks through and kills every single one of this. Absolutely every single one of these. I'm perfectly okay. And bam. That was a cannon rush. That was absolutely a cannon rush. Absolutely and completely a cannon rush. And, well, I didn't build any cannons, but it was a cannon rush. So, you know, great. This works out perfectly for me. If you look in the units tab, well, okay, let's just rewind and fast forward through all of this. And yeah, we'll just keep an eye on the income tab. Keep an eye on income tab. There's the pool. Here's the hatch. Even on income, even on income. That was a minute. Hang on, let's get exact times on that. When did he pull? So he pulled at about the 3-minute mark. Yeah. Okay, 3-minute mark. So, and he's like 400 minerals a minute behind what he could be. Cancel, cancel. And let's see. So this was 1 minute, pretty much exactly 1 minute, of being 400 minerals behind what he should be. That cost him 400 minerals. Directly cost him 400 minerals. What did it cost me? 25 per cancel, 2 cancels, 50 minerals, 150 minerals. So I spent 150 minerals to cost him 400. Great, works out for me. That's all I wanted from the cannon rush. Absolutely all I wanted from the cannon rush. Was just basically to pull a lead. And that's why it's actually more important with the cannon rush to not overreact. You just want to do the barest minimum, because if you overreact, well, that's all he's wanting, is to just use whatever he can to pull a slight lead. And I'll tell you for absolutely free that he went on to lose that game quite horribly. That's an entire hatch that he could have built. And it cost me precisely nothing. It delayed my Nexus slightly, in fairness, but 150 minerals and a delayed Nexus versus 400 minerals and delayed drones. And yeah, I'm happy with that trade. Really happy with that trade. So now we're going to see, oh, okay, this isn't the appropriate response. This is the build that is absolutely safe against cannon rushes. This was me losing ladder points because I needed replays. What the hell? Oh, bugger. I sold... Did I load Banshee 2 instead of Cannon 2? I believe I did. Facepalm, facepalm, facepalm. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming up to the hour mark now, so I'm not going to do too much more on it. Methy versus OGS top, that would be amazing. Okay, I did have them in a nice order. So that was the incorrect response. This next game is the correct response. Oh. Hang on. No, this next game was an incorrect response. I didn't actually have a replay of the correct response. This is a mistaken replay. This one's not supposed to be in here. Because it was Teldery Malta that I had the correct response. Whoops. I suppose I could find that quickly, but in any case, otherwise I can just tell you what you should really be doing, and I mean you should be able to see it from this anyway. So, hatch first, greedy. I'm going to punish this. I'm absolutely going to punish this. Oh no, it wasn't hatch first. It was 14 pool, 15 hatch. So, again, you know, this is a fairly good response so far. Not pulling a huge number of drones. He's still losing minerals, but then so am I. And now, here comes the extreme cannon response, where I just throw down many cannons. And his response has been good so far. Here's where it doesn't get so good. He should absolutely just, you know, You can pull these drones off. You're not going to kill this many cannons, even with Zerglings, before one gets up. Except the fact that the cannon's going to go up, pull everything off, wait for cannons to finish, and then cancel the hatch. So, you know, he could have had these mining... I mean, it's not too bad. He could have had these mining for quite a while, but it's not really too bad. So, here, that's going to happen. Cancel the hatch. So, okay, well, this is actually a very good response. This is a great response. Hatch cancels at the last possible moment. And I've now invested 300 minerals in delaying his hatch, and my Nexus still hasn't gone down. So, you know, it's good. He still could have had those 3 drones just mining for a lot longer, and I definitely would have cancelled these cannons anyway, because they just do nothing for me up on the high ground here. I maybe would have cancelled one there and one there, and had that cannon and that cannon, but, you know, he could have had those 5 drones mining, but still, not a huge amount. So... now from here, his response just gets bad. Take your hatch here. This was going to be your 3rd anyway. There's no reason not to take it here. You can still do the same build. I've just invested some money in delaying your hatch, and I've delayed my Nexus in the process. It's an even game. You don't have to go all in. You could even just build a 2nd queen and, you know, kill this pylon from the high ground, because it's not the best placed pylon ever. But, you know, don't go one base all in off it. Again, it's just this thing of, you feel like you're more behind than you are. Just go and build a hatch somewhere else. Again, scout, because the Protoss will try to cannon that as well. But you should have Zerglings up at that stage, and you can absolutely deal with it. That's exactly why you don't want to go hatch first. You can just get the Zerglings up to deal with any cannons on your 3rd hatch, and then you can kill up off these cannons and take a 3rd base at a normal timing. And the game just becomes exactly normal, but everything is delayed by about a minute for both players. Perfectly fine. And yeah, then he begins flaming this. And again, I mean, I want you guys to distinguish between a cannon pressure and a cannon rush. This is a cannon pressure. I'm still going Forge Fast Expand. I'm just delaying it slightly. I mean, look at this, 24 harvesters to 16. He did not need to do this. He could have taken his hatch here and been absolutely fine. Notice how I was scouting for this here. And this is, I mean, exactly what I was saying. Expect either the Protoss to know that you're going to try and take a 3rd here. The moment I don't scout a 3rd here, I scouted up here as well because I thought he might have placed it there. I know he's going to 1 base all in me. And from this point, I've won the game. Absolutely won the game. Because, you know, what can he do? Just no 3rd, so he's going to 1 base all in, so all I need to do is hold that. And there are a limited number of 1 base all ins it can be. So I'm just getting good vision of my base for a Nidus Worm, and I'm going to rush to sentries to hold my ramp and throw down a couple of extra cannons. Perfect! This was a cannon pressure, he assumed it was a cannon rush, and he lost because of it. So, I saw a shitload of Zerglings moving out. Cannons go down, first sentry is on the way, he tries to Bailing Bust, and it doesn't work out so well. 35 harvesters to 30, 16 harvesters to 30. So again, don't go 1 base all in. Definitely don't suicide Zerglings into cannons like that. You could have killed this from the high ground with a queen. And, you know, now he's trying to get some semblance of normal play at, like, the 10-minute mark, when he could have just done this immediately and been fine. So don't overreact to it. Don't overreact to it. Overreacting to cannons is your worst nightmare. It really is. So, I'm just going to look at the last replay to show you why 14 gas, 14 pool will stop any sort of cannon shenanigans. Just dead. You can't cannon rush somebody who's going for it. But yes, don't overreact, don't overreact, don't overreact. Please don't overreact. Please don't overreact. Just 3 drones per cannon will kill it. Absolutely fine. Get some Zerglings out. If he's throwing down 7-8 cannons, pull the drones back, go back to mining, let them finish, and cancel the hatch and rebuild it somewhere else. And just scout that place with Zerglings and you'll be fine. Absolutely fine. And this 3rd game, which I'm going to rush through because I'm over time. Over time. So yeah, I'm going to Forge Fast Expand, and I'm going to scout a 14 gas, 14 pool, and lose horribly. So 14 gas, 14 pool, and I'm going to try and cannon them anyway. Not gonna work. Now, Metalopolis is kind of nasty because if you get cannoned at your natural, you can cannon the main as well. But, you know, he's going to see this just with good Overlord placements. Absolutely going to see this. And Zerglings are out. Now watch what he does. He doesn't try to rush in and kill this cannon. I mean, he sends the Zerglings, realizes the cannon is finishing. And just blocks off the ramp. And builds a Spine Crawler. Absolutely the correct response. And he's going to take a third here. Absolutely the correct response. And notice how I can't get into his main. Again, I really should have cancelled these cannons at this point, but I just wanted to show you how well he can hold it off. So the cannons finish. I have no sight up here. Hell, I even bring 4 probes to try and get sight up there. Spine Crawler finishes, it's attacking, it's attacking, it's attacking. And I mineral glitch through, and I get 2 attacks with Spine Crawlers. Meanwhile, his third is going down there. So, what did I say? Protoss will expect it. I'm sending my probe there. What does he do? He knows that I'm expecting it, so he sends Zerglings to deal with it. Bam. And I'm dead. I'm absolutely dead in the water. Just so unbelievably 6-minute mark, and I don't have any form of tech. And, okay, admittedly he could kill me anyway, but he chooses to just Baneling kill me. But he didn't really need to. Notice how last game I had my sentries out to deal with this exact Baneling pressure, and this time I just don't. Just the difference. And unfortunately, I mean, I probably still could have won it, but I had this horrible miscontrol here. I thought I'd killed all the Banelings, and there were 2 left. Could have won it otherwise. What can you do? So, yeah, that'll about wrap it up. I don't think there's anything else. Don't think there's anything else at all. Feel free to ask any questions. I am just trying to think. So, yeah, again, learn what you fear and just don't over-respond. Honestly, fear of specific strategies is often worse for you than the strategies themselves will ever do. So just be calm, be patient, and yeah. I was going to talk about 6-pool, but I don't have time to talk about 6-pool. I will just throw out a note. There are some great games. Xenix Kyrix versus Lysira in the GSL. I think it was October. Might have been the one before that. I'm not sure. Just search Kyrix versus Lysira. There's also Lysira versus Nest from the same season. Basically, the general rule is if you've got your pool up by 14, it's absolutely fine. You can defend the 6-pool. Because if he pulls drones, you just run your drones around until your Zerglings finish. Okay? If he doesn't pull drones, just keep mining and use your drones to kill the Zerglings if they enter the mineral line. Just stack drones up on mineral patches, mineral walk through the Zerglings and attack them and kill them. So he shouldn't really be able to enter the mineral line. If he pulls drones and goes for the spawning pool, just attack him every time he goes to the spawning pool and immediately pull back when he tries to attack you, and he'll delay long enough to get Zerglings out. And you're absolutely fine. 6-pool doesn't really work in ZVZ because you can hold it with a hatch first. Even Lysira, there's a great game, him holding a 6-pool from Kyrix Zenith with a hatch first build, just by running drones around until the spawning pool finished and then building Zerglings and then killing them. What is more worrying is an overpool into Spine Crawler with Zerglings, because your Zerglings get there at the same time as a 14-pool Zerglings hatch, and the Spine Crawler forces him to engage. So it's a good position overall. But I mean, 6-pool, just don't select all your drones and attack Zerglings. Just run them around if the Zerglings are chasing him with drones. Just be patient. Just keep mining, and if you can, and really he can't engage you in the mineral line because he can get a good surround, but you can't engage him out of the mineral line. And just differentiate between the two cases of drones versus no drones. And if he brings drones, just run around all day. Drones outrun Zerglings and other drones, so you can win. Cool. So that's going to end it, guys. I don't know the topics for the next show yet. Again, feel free to email me, methysc@gmail.com. That's methySC@gmail.com. Email me absolutely anything. It can be in any format you want. It can be analyze this professional replay, analyze my own replay, why did I lose this game, how the hell do I deal with mass colossi, what happens if you build 2 banelings at the earliest possible time and burrow them under a nidus worm of your enemy. That one doesn't make so much sense, but you get the idea. It's really is. This is basically driven by requests because, well, I can't really try to compete with Day 9, basically. I just can't, because he does it better and he does it more regularly. He has way more time to devote to it than me. So what I'm trying to do is that sort of style of show, but really completely driven by your requests. So, thanks guys, the VOD will be up shortly, and MLG will be up shortly too. Wonderful. See ya. Unless there are any questions. Nope. Bye.